What's up? Welcome in. Happy Tuesday on the CHGO Bears Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use the code CHGO to get up to $2,000 in free bets. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that beautiful picture of Bill Belichick, who happens to be quite good at coaching the game of football. Today, we are previewing the next Bears opponent, which happens to be the New England Patriots. What's going on? Nicholas Moreano here, Thorny from Super Troopers. Wow.
That was quick. That was quick.
Lawrence cannot wait to get that in.
I was very excited. Yeah.
He has photoshopped the head of Nicholas Moreano onto Thorny in Super Troopers.
Right meow. Had to get to it. Right meow.
Yeah, right meow. And it is now live in your face if you're watching on YouTube.
Fortunately.
And if you're listening to the podcast, you just have to picture it, but it's really scarily accurate and similar. What's up, Nick?
How's it going, you guys? It is pretty accurate. I showed it to my parents, and they're like, "That's a really good job. It looks very eerily similar, which is, good and bad." But credit to Lawrence for making that up yesterday and being, just really quick with it.
Yeah.
And if you're watching, there's Lawrence.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. It was one of my finest Photoshop pieces in the last couple months.
It was quick, too.
Where are the shades today? How come the shades aren't on?
They're actually right here, but with the headphones,
and the hat.
It is an easy fix. Yeah.
Hey, look, there's Joey behind me. That's the guy I learned my Photoshop skills from. He's the best.
Joey.
All right.
Joey is the best.
By the way, don't ask us for that CHGO hat he's wearing. He somehow made that himself. It is not a officially licensed merchandise of CHGO. It is bootleg, and quite frankly, I think the company should sue him.
I agree.
It looks good on me, but I'll keep it for myself. We'll eventually get hats, and when we do, I'll get that one too. But for now, I just need to wear a hat. I need to.
Unless maybe there's a super chat out there willing to pay for that specific hat if you're willing to part with it.
I actually am.
As I just offer up your own clothing.
Yeah, like what else? The PlayStation 5's over there. It's a good super chat.
That brutal whiteboard behind you where you just scratch garbage on there like Woody Page from 20
today
years
wasn't
ago.
very clever. It was like Bears Patriots. I'm like, it still said vacation. Someone was vacation today. I'm like, all right, we're back. We're back to work. So
still doing it, huh? Still a thing?
Yeah. Yep. Still doing it.
I'd rather you kept the mustache and lost the whiteboard. That's my suggestion.
Well,
they both can be gone very soon.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't. It doesn't sound like the mustache is very popular in the Moreano household. I think it's very popular on the interwebs.
Yes.
And on the show, I support the mustache, but I don't know how much support he's getting at home.
Yeah, tell us in the chat.
4th of July. 4th of July, I'll let you guys know.
What do you think in the chat? Yes or no? Keep the mustache? Shave the mustache?
We might have to do some type of
or
poll on
super
that
chat us, and maybe he'll send you the clippings if you want to pay for his mustache. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey.
That's a little bit more creepy than his homemade hat.
Well, I know, but, it's the internet, and people will buy anything, so I just thought maybe...
Better internet.
I just picture him, like, ripping it off in one piece and somehow sending that along. This CHGO shirt I'm wearing is real, as is the PointsBet shirt that Nick is wearing. So I swear you look like a NASCAR driver right now. I don't know why, but you do.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Right?
You have logos and all kinds of things going on. But hey, we are here to preview the New England Patriots. We're going to talk about Cody Whitehair as well, because it is Cody Whitehair Day in the Adam Hoge grades system. So we'll talk about him as well. And then Will previewed Equimania St. Brown on the All CHGO website, which you can check out. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. The thing we're going to lead with, though, is something from The Athletic. Very good piece done by Lindsey Jones, the annual NFL 40 under 40, looking at basically the top 40 non-players, considering players are pretty much all under 40, except for the best player in the league, of course, and Tom Brady. But, the overwhelming, 98% of the league is under 40. And so this is all GMs, head coaches, young executives in the league, and agents. The reason why we are going to talk about this a little bit is because there are a ton of Bears connections, both current Bears and former Bears as well. This list has the typical usual suspects that you would think of, like a Sean McVay, who I've, known this whole time. Sean McVay is the same age as me, but like the more success Sean McVay has, and now he has a Super Bowl, it seems like he should be older. And then you read this and you're like, oh, he's still 36, which is insane.
That is nuts.
And he could have done whatever he wanted this offseason. Apparently could have walked off and been like, hey, I'm going to go on TV now and make an insane amount of money doing television, because what they're paying a TV analysts these days is more than they make coaching or playing the game, which has kind of gotten a little bit insane there. But Sean McVay is still 36. A couple other non-Bears examples. Kevin O'Connell, the new head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, is 37. Bears connection. Brandon Staley, the Chargers head coach, is still only 39. Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals, was also in the Super Bowl. He's 39. There's a lot of talent, Nick, under 40 in the NFL. It's pretty impressive, actually.
It is. And, just actually seeing some people that are associated with the Chicago Bears organization being a part of this, pristine group, I think that shows this youth movement that is in the NFL. And you want to have these type of guys, these type of people associated with your team. The first guy that comes up and will be a big part of what the Bears will do this season, Luke Getzi, right? Being that he's the offensive coordinator, being somebody that's going to have an influential role on Justin Fields and what he's going to do in year 2, and seeing how young he is and what he can, grow into still, right? Being that this will be his first time at only 38 actually being the play caller. That's someone that you want to have with you in your organization, and the Bears got that guy.
Yeah, they do. Now we have to interrupt this important conversation though about important Bears who are under 40, because first of all, that's a great comment by Travis saying you look like you make pizzas for a living. We have a super chat just going by E, says not a fan of the stash, but would love to buy that hat.
Interesting. Well, it does cost a good amount to customize a hat. So I'm just going to put that out there. Like, It wasn't cheap to customize it and shipping. And
I feel bad. We did not put a number on it.
Yeah, we didn't put a number, how that's going to work.
What it would be your number, and maybe E would have to throw something out there.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot here.
Well, I mean, we did mention it on the live stream like 4 minutes ago. So now it's happening.
We'll come back to you. Obviously, you're a awesome viewer and watcher and listener of the show, but let me think about it towards the end, and I'll give you a better answer.
Oh boy!
But I appreciate the super chat, though.
Well, okay. Yeah. So it sounds like $9.99 isn't enough, is what I'm hearing.
That's what we can go with for now.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's a little weird, but all right. What? E is saying he will buy it for $20.
There it is. And I don't blame him for not just like committing another.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
This turned into an on-the-spot negotiation. And comments. Yeah. Probably illegal, it feels like, for some reason. But I don't know. You can do anything on the internet these days.
It's true.
All right, so you're going to think about the 20 is what you're saying? You're going to think about this?
I'll consider it.
Okay, well, in the meantime, On The Go Shy Sports says, got to get Nick in the next Mario movie for sure.
Yeah. You can have the hat. I'll cover whatever the difference is to
Good. That's what I like to hear from Nick, the exotic game show host, according to Isaac Easterday. All right, so E, here's what we're gonna do.
By the way, Isaac Easterday sounds like the name of an exotic game show host.
Hello, this is Isaac Easterday, and today on Eating the World. Yeah, okay. So E,
I don't think that's what he was talking about with exotic, by the way.
Probably not. I'm trying to think of how I have to do this now. I got to figure out how to get E. What email should I give him here to email me, E?
You auctioned off my hat, Adam.
Production
I
at
feel
all
bad.
CHGO. All right.
I'll just send him a Hogan John shirt. We'll call it, or hat. We'll call it even. Because I don't think Nick really wants to part with that. I think Nick wants to part with the stash more than he wants to part with the hat.
Oh man.
The stash is growing on me. To be completely honest, I like it.
Well, it is literally growing on you. That is accurate.
This is very true.
Yeah.
This is very true.
All right. Let's talk about.
Well, we were in the middle of our conversation about the 40 under 40, so we can go back to that if you want.
Yeah, no, Ryan Poles is only 36, guys. That blow your mind a little bit. Of course, that Ryan Pace was that young too when he. Okay, E says he's not paying for the hat.
Thank
Just
you,
for
E.
us. Thank you, E. You're a good guy.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Or I mean, I don't know if you're a guy actually. You're just E.
True. Just E.
Yeah.
I shouldn't assume. That's bad by me. But anyway, I think in conclusion, the stash is great. The hat is
sus.
It's there. It's on his head. And we need to talk about the Bears.
Yes.
Bears.
All right. So as you can imagine, Ryan Poles makes this list of 40 under 40 in the NFL. Again, from The Athletic, Lindsey Jones. So proper credit there. But she writes, Poles, an offensive lineman at Boston College, spent 13 years in the Chiefs front office. There he rose from entry-level scouting assistant to one of general manager Brett Veach's top talent evaluators. Now he's Chicago's GM, charged with building the Bears back into an NFC North contender. It's a big challenge. Poles and first-year coach Matt Eberflus inherited quarterback Justin Fields, but have to make significant moves to upgrade other parts of the roster, minus a surplus of draft capital or salary cap space. Among Poles' first big moves was trading pass rusher Khalil Mack to the Chargers to acquire more picks and to create more cap room. He spoke to The Athletic this spring about the importance of having a long-term organization-wide plan and sticking to it. He said, quote, I talk about delegating, but we've also created a very team atmosphere in how we make decisions. I know personally every decision isn't specifically mine. It's ours. I think when you take that approach, you're comfortable that you did the work, you had the process, and it's the best decision for the club at the time. Ryan Poles, 36 years old, part of The Athletic's NFL 40 under 40.
You know what, Adam, obviously we knew Ryan Poles was young, but just what he's done so far as a GM of a football team, it doesn't seem like he's a 36-year-old GM. Even though this is his first time doing this, making these big decisions and going through drafts and being the guy, it seems like he, obviously coming from the Chiefs organization, very well taught in how to just function in all these different avenues that he's taking the leadership role of. So, yes, he's young, but it doesn't show from the move that he's made, and he stayed really patient, stuck to his plan. And that, I think, takes, that's what you see in guys that are veterans at this, but so far so good for Ryan Poles. Like, he's stuck to what he believes, and he's still a very young and really new to this whole new position.
Yeah, look, hey, age is just a number, and he's been doing what he's doing for an NFL organization for 13 years before getting this opportunity. So there's plenty of experience there. I mean, that's why you have guys like even Ryan Pace too, who get into scouting. A lot of players do that. A lot of players who don't make it to the NFL either immediately get into coaching or get into scouting one way or the other. Even if they have a cup of coffee or a couple of years in the NFL, that seems to be a pretty natural transition. There's a couple other examples on this list. Aubrey Pleasant, who's an assistant coach for the Lions, he was somebody I covered at Wisconsin. He was a player there when I was a student there, and he had a little bit of time in the NFL, but he ended up coaching, and now he's on this list too, as somebody who is one of the top 40 under 40 guys, and I think he's only 35. Scroll down to him. Yeah, he's a Lions defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator now. Gerard Mayo is another player. Now, he had a little bit of a longer career, but he is the Patriots inside linebackers coach, already getting interviews for head coaching jobs this past offseason. I've heard great things. In fact, I wanted the Bears to spent a little bit more time on Jerod Mayo during the interview process. So now there is another Bear and a coach on this list. Sometimes I feel like we don't talk about Luke Getzi enough. He is the Bears offense coordinator, and he is still only 38 years old. And Lindsay writes in the story, Getzi has a major task in his first year as a coordinator and play caller, developing quarterback Justin Fields, a 2021 first-round pick, into a quality NFL starter. Getzi spent the past 3 seasons in Green Bay as the passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Matt LaFleur. He worked closely with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love and knows that developing a close relationship with his new pupil in Chicago will be critical to Fields' success and what the Bears hope to accomplish this season. So Luke Getzi, another guy on this list. By the way, I should say that this list is compiled by actually, reaching out to people. It's not just like Lindsay putting this list together. She reaches out, says, hey, solicits input from people around the league. And so this is kind of, there's a little bit of prestige getting on this list, I think, because it means you're getting respect from your peers around the league.
Yeah, and I think it for Luke Getzi to get on this is obviously being under 40, he meets criteria, right? But he didn't call plays. And you see the success Green Bay has had, and you almost think, LaFleur is the mastermind behind all that. And to a certain extent he is, but Luke Getzi getting on here, and I think that does show what the league thinks about Luke Getzi, as opposed to maybe what, I don't know, some outsiders can think about him. So I think that's a big part of why Luke Getzi made that list. But also I do like that, and we obviously know this, but the background that he has with Aaron Rodgers, but also a guy like Jordan Love that we haven't seen yet. He has experience working with both ends of the spectrum, and then he gets a young quarterback like Justin Fields, who's just entering year 2. So he is going to be a big part of what Fields can do in this 2022 season. And he's talked about it, like the coordinator and the quarterback, they have to always be on the same page. And from what we've heard from him, what we've seen, it's like that's what's starting to build here in Chicago.
Yeah, I think the only hesitation at all is, you want to give him all this credit for working with Aaron Rodgers, but then you're like, it's Aaron Rodgers. So, I think for me, what gets overlooked a little bit is his work actually with the wide receivers before he was working with the quarterbacks and having that experience too. And that's Devonte Adams. I mean, that's when you got Devonte Adams in your corner and seeing that jump from a guy who was kind of off to a slow start in his career and then all of a sudden turned into, one of the top wide receivers in the entire league. I just think that has to be included in the conversation too. So not surprising to see Luke Getzi on this list, and it's encouraging, I think, for the Bears offense. Now, would Matt Nagy have been on this list when he was hired as Bears head coach? Probably. Yeah, probably. Yep. I think he was, I want to say he was he 40 already when he got hired? I think 40. He was technically 39.
Let's see.
Just about to turn. He would have been just barely 39. So actually the cutoff date is June 24th. So he actually would not have been eligible because he would have been 40. But my point still kind of stands that we're looking at kind of like the hot young risers in the league. Mm-hmm. And, he probably would have been on that list. And, but
that's okay though. That's okay, right? Because we don't know what he isn't capable of doing right when he's getting hired at this new position, right? So I think it's natural to almost think, well, he came from this offense from the Chiefs, or Luke Getzi from the Packers. They had high octane offenses, and now they're going to bigger roles with another team. Can they make some of those same strides, those same transitions that they had from their previous team with obviously a new one? So I think it makes sense to why you can have a guy like Matt Nagy who wasn't on the list, but it would make sense if he was, and then a guy like Luke Getzi too. So the whole, I guess, how you get there, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and by the way, is just because you didn't make it as a head coach doesn't mean like you weren't good at what you were doing before or can, go back to doing. And I've actually said this about Matt Nagy, not to get off on a total tangent about the last regime, and nobody's going to want to hear this right now, but he's still young enough that if he ever does get another chance to be a head coach, I could see him having more success. Sometimes we forget that it is a huge crash course in handling all these things that you're not used to handling, that you don't have to do as a coordinator. You really do turn into more of a program manager. There's so many more things that end up on your desk that are not even related to football, but still have to do with winning football games. They're just not necessarily X's and O's and scheme related. So getting that experience and getting another opportunity, learning from what you learned before, things can go better the next time around. I think that's why coaches get recycled sometimes. And we do see that happening, but that's kind of a total other tangent there. The other person on this list that has to do with the Bears is not an employee of the Bears, but is closely affiliated with the most important person in the organization, in my opinion, and that is Justin Fields' agent. Well, Justin Fields is the most important person in the organization. His agent is the one on this list, David Mulugeta, and he has become a big name around the NFL because if you haven't been paying attention to the Deshaun Watson saga, he is also Deshaun Watson's agent and helped negotiate that crazy contract that he got in the Cleveland Browns trade. So, and quite frankly, he's been a big name in football for a while now, working his way up as one of the most important agents in the game. But he is also on this list because there's different categories, and one of the categories actually includes the agents.
Yeah, and he's also worked with Jalen Ramsey as another guy, and he got a big, obviously, going to LA and getting that trade done and getting the contract that he has. So he's worked with the high, pristine guys at their respective positions. And yeah, also a guy that's just 39 and is able to do what he's doing at that age.
Yeah. All right. We will move on to previewing the Patriots, which are next on the docket here as we go through the Bears schedule. But first, need to tell you the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app. Use code CHGO when you sign up, and if you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. And that's not it, because if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. So $2,000 in free bets, free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com. We will help you out. Your home for live in-play betting is even better than ever, because if you see an edge in the game you're watching, or if your favorite team is primed for a comeback, you can bet along with those games live. More live betting, more live markets, and faster live cash outs. And you can follow along with your bets the moment they hit. Stay in the live action all game long. Download the PointsBet app right now. Use promo code CHGO. Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
Chicago sports fans, if you aren't a member of our CHGO family, what are you waiting for at this point? Members will have access to all of our premium content from all of our great writers. You also get a free t-shirt of your choice, and we just unleashed 3 new ones that you got to check out. If you're watching, you see the Cubs one. We have a new socks and an awesome Chicago Skyline t-shirt that you can go check out at allchgo.com. You also get access to the members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge. And, of course, we have podcasts and live shows on every team, every day. So make sure you're tuned in and you have your notifications set on YouTube so you don't miss any of those great shows. So come join this amazing family that's constantly growing here at CHGO.
By the way, I need you guys to remind me, there's I think I might need an intervention with something.
I'm listening.
Yeah, let's hold it to the end of the show though. But I think
intervention coming.
Because I have a
intervention.
problem that I keep doing to myself. Like
what a tease! This is
I
great.
know.
Yeah.
All right, set the clock for 30 minutes from now. We're gonna wait to figure this out.
Better not be 30 minutes, but hey, let's talk about the Patriots real quick. And please, no one pull what I just said as a drop. 2021 record for the New England Patriots. They went 10-7. They were a hot team at one point. What were they, like 7-1, 7-2?
From week 7 to 14, they won, they won 7 straight games. Like
That's
they
what I'm thinking
were
of,
hot.
Like, mid-season, and then it was sort of like, all right, reality setting in towards the end of the season. They ended up going 10-7. Still second in the AFC East, and they lost in the wild card round. You kind of could tell going in the playoffs that they just had, quite frankly, probably done a lot of overachieving a little bit with a rookie quarterback because of how well coached they are, because they tend to get the most out of players that are good but not great. And the head coach, Bill Belichick, is now going into his 23rd season, which is crazy at this point with the Patriots. Key additions, Malcolm Butler, that is a familiar name there. Devontae Parker comes in at wide receiver. Jabril Peppers, probably a guy that I've always liked more than I should. He joins the Patriots, but he's also one of those guys where, like, okay, he joins the Patriots, you just feel like they're going to get more out of him than he's had with some other teams. They did lose J.C. Jackson, Ted Karras, and Shaq Mason. So a couple losses on their offensive line. Their rookies include Cole Strange on the offensive line, Tyquan Thornton, and Marcus Jones. So, man, the Patriots, they just, one of the things we used to always say and still do on the Hoge and John's podcast in a negative ways, the Lions are the Lions. They're just always kind of there, and they do their Lionsy thing. The Patriots are that way too. Even without Tom Brady, you just know it's going to be a tough game. So kind of the opposite way we talk about the Lions, the Patriots are the Patriots. They're going to do the Patriots way and be a tough team to beat. This is going to be a hard game for the Bears to win on the road.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I was looking at some of the stats that the Patriots put up last season. And in terms of DVOA from Football Outsiders, which is a great metric to look at, they finished overall total 4th in DVOA, 3rd in passing, 10th in rushing, and they also finished in the top 10 in scoring offense and defense. So this was a team that, like, when I think of the New England Patriots, Adam, there's not a lot of star players, right? Like that's not the first thing you think of when you think of the Patriots. Never, even when Tom Brady was there. But yet they find, because one, they're well coached, and when you have Bill Belichick who's going his 23rd season, that's going to be obviously something that's going to happen. They're going to be well coached, but they just don't beat themselves. That's like the big thing with the Patriots. And obviously Bears fans know that is one of the ways that the Bears usually lose games. They beat themselves, but that's never usually the case with the Patriots. And when I was just seeing like where they finished statistically in some of these key categories, I was like, it was surprising at first, but then I'm like, no, it's not. It like you just said, it's the Patriots. It makes sense why they're that good.
Well, and what's interesting is like they go out and they draft a guy in Cole Strange from Chattanooga in the first round. Pretty much everyone thought that was a reach, but when the Patriots do it, they get the benefit of the doubt. Now, I'm intrigued by how this turns out, because if you actually look at their drafts over the last like 5, 6, maybe even longer, they haven't drafted that well, which is one of the reasons why 2 off seasons ago, so that would have been it would have just been like a year ago off season, 2021 off season in March, they had a free agent frenzy. I mean, they spent a lot of money. They did something that they don't do a lot, but they kind of had to, because the draft class haven't necessarily been there in recent years.
Especially at the wide receiver position. They have missed on a lot of wide receivers, and they drafted Tyquan Thornton. We'll have to see how that pans out for them. But yeah, they're just a team. Like, I'm seeing some of the comments here too, Adam. Like, I'm not a believer of the Patriots, and I get why. I understand it completely. But then again, I can't count them out. You just can't count them out. And I'm not fully invested that the Patriots are the team to beat. That's not where I'm at, but I'm like also on the fence for but still the Patriots, they can beat you. They definitely can.
Well, one of the things I sampled and wrote about at the Super Bowl this year was talking to some reporters. I think I've mentioned this before from Boston, and kind of because one of the big storylines, as it will be in a number of these games that we've already previewed, and will continue, is the Justin Fields draft class and Mac Jones and the comparison to Mac Jones. And the interesting thing to me is there are a lot of people in Boston who would tell you they would rather have Justin Fields, even though Mac Jones had the better rookie season, because they see that potential. They see what he can do. And I hope both of those quarterbacks are healthy in this game because it's going to be a fun storyline. Remember, this is a Monday Night Football game. This is the Bears' one Monday Night Football game of the season. They go to New England. The spotlight's going to be on them. They're actually coming off of a Thursday night game against Washington. So they have a lot of time in between games here, too. You get that mini bye after the Thursday game that the players like. You also get an extra day here because you're not playing until Monday. So that was kind of the trade-off in the Bears Bears' actual bye week doesn't come till week 14. It's very, very, very late. It is the second week of December before they get their real bye. So the trade-off for that, I think, is kind of getting that extra day to make that mini bye a little bit longer earlier in the season. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. So we'll see if that helps them at all going into this game. It's obviously hard to game plan against New England regardless, but they're certainly a beatable team. I'm like kind of fascinated what the line would be in that game.
Yeah, me too. And Travis here in the comments is saying that how easy the Patriots schedule was, and I did put a note in that in my notes, like they defeated the Jets twice, Panthers, Falcons, Jaguars, Texans. So those are in that 7-game win streak. Those are some of the teams that they were facing in the final. Out of the last 4, they lost 3 of those. Like this is a team that during earlier portion of mid season they were gelling, and then towards the end I think people kind of, I don't know if the right word's figuring out the Patriots, but they were starting to lose some of those games that they were winning before, and I think we saw some of the limitations that Mac Jones has. And not to say that Mac Jones isn't good, because there were some games I was watching where man's throwing some dimes, is looking a little bit more athletic like inside the pocket than I initially thought, but I think that's where, when you talk to some of those people in the Boston media, well, if you would want to see what this team could be with a Justin Fields type of player, and I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at some of the points bet numbers on the New England Patriots. So they are plus 4,000 to win the Super Bowl. Nick, there was a 1.5 week period last year where I feel like there were some people being like, hey, maybe this team can go on and win the Super Bowl, because of Bill Belichick.
Yep.
If you're looking for a long shot to win the Super Bowl, I'm not necessarily going to predict that the Patriots do that. But if you're looking for like value, plus 4,000 on the Patriots, that's one of those where you're like, why not? Plus 2,000 to win the AFC. That puts them 12th, though, in the AFC, and that kind of shows you a little bit of a reality
stack the AFC is. I think that too. Like, there's just so many good teams in the AFC.
That's why, I mean, the immediate counterpoint to me, like bringing them up as a long shot, is like, okay, realistically, how would they get through the AFC in the playoffs? Without that firepower that some of those other teams have. Then again, the Bengals did it last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I know it should be even stronger this year, but if the Bengals could do it, and Joe Burrow was obviously on a magical run, and he's outstanding and better than Mac Jones. It's something interesting to think about.
I don't hate that plus 450 to win the AFC East as the third best team in that division. I mean, that's you got to beat the Bills, but I mean, again, it's the Patriots.
the Dolphins. I mean, obviously the Dolphins are in there too, and which would
Yeah.
be second in that division. But yeah, you never know. Honestly, like if Josh Allen goes down, then it's wide open.
Yeah,
Then
I'm
I would
just
take
saying
the
if
Patriots in a
there's
heartbeat.
value. I mean, like you're saying, the AFC is completely stacked. So like to win the AFC or to win the Super Bowl, that's asking a lot. But I mean,
Mhm.
plus 450. I'll take plus 450 on the Patriots to win the East somehow.
Yeah, I
Never know.
mean, look, it took a while for Buffalo to get over that hump, right? To get past the Patriots. But and they did lose Brian Daboll, and I think I'm not going to be the one who does it, but I think there are a couple arguments out there that you could make to say that the Bills could regress this year. It's possible, but
It's possible.
I'm not quite there. I think I'll take the Bills to win the AFC East. But in terms of value, I don't think you can shoot it down completely. But that puts them third in the AFC East there at plus 450. Their over under is 8.5. You're getting it costs you a little bit more to bet the over on that minus 115. The under the over is minus 115. The under is minus 105. So pretty close there at 8.5 there. So maybe that'll get decided by the Bears.
Maybe the Bears will just somehow factor their way into that.
Yep.
But you know what, Adam? What I can tell you does have good value is Owen.
Oh
Which
yeah.
Owen always
Yeah.
has. Doesn't matter what the odds are. Owen always has good value. And just in case you don't know, Owen stands for only what you need. This brand is a 100% plant-based protein company that gives you high quality and carefully selected ingredients to keep you functioning throughout your entire workday, and especially after an intense workout. In these protein shakes, you get your vegan omega-3s, your green superfoods like broccoli, kale, and spinach, and all these amazing ingredients reinforce what Owen stands for, only what you need. I've been using Owen for the last 2 years. We here at CHGO drink Owen. Got everybody in my family hooked on it. And if you're looking for a recommendation, the Pro Elite Chocolate Shake is the go-to right now. What's also cool is that I first heard about Owen from Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields, who does follow a plant-based diet. Owen and CHGO have partnered up to give you an awesome offer. When you use the code CHGO20, you get 20% off your first purchase. Again, that is 20% off with the code CHGO20 at liveowen.com. So join us here at CHGO and Justin Fields and try Owen, only what you need.
All right. Time to get to today's player grade. And we are officially into, let's call them the good players. Players who are at least starting caliber players. And the first one we'll talk about is Cody Whitehair, the Bears left guard, who graded out at 2.29, which is kind of on the lower end of the starter tier. If you get above a 3, you're considered kind of a long-term starter. Cody Whitehair has been there before, but by his own admission, and he did mention this a couple times, I think late in the season last year, he wasn't having his best season as a pro. In fact, I would say the last couple of years have been a little bit down for him, at least, in terms of my grades. But, the great thing about Cody Whitehair is he is just extremely durable and is out there, and you can depend on him. So despite last year being a little bit of a down year, and he is getting up there to 30 years old, he is the longest tenured Bear on this team, which we tried to give to DeAndre Houston Carson, but I think Will was the one who correctly pointed out that Cody Whitehair was drafted a day before.
It's true.
Yeah. So technically it is Cody Whitehair, but so durable. I looked this up, and because I was starting to think, I'm like, man, this guy, I feel like he's never, ever hurt. And he has only missed 2 games in his career. He started 95 of a possible 97 games in his career. The only 2 games he missed was in the 2020 season. Missed a couple of games there. So that shows you offensive linemen like this, man, they're hard to come by. And so you can live with, a down year here and there, I think. And Cody Whitehair is one of the few constants that they have right now on the offensive line, quite frankly.
Yeah, and Cody Whitehair is the Bears' right now, best offensive lineman. I don't think that's controversial to say in any way because there's a lot of uncertainty with a lot of the other players that the Bears currently have in that offensive line. And he did have a down year. But just kind of watching a few games earlier today, I think he's going to be a really good fit for this system where it requires these offensive linemen to get out in space, to move, to pull, to seal block. Cody Whitehair, that's where the strengths of his game come into play. And you can see that through some of the game. Even in his down year, he was still capable of doing that. So in a system that predicates the offensive linemen to use their speed, to get the right angles, I think Cody Whitehair can have a bounce back in his career just in this system alone if all things go right. And obviously you need to have continuity along the line. That's going to obviously help, but I think he's definitely capable of that. Now, he needs to fix up a lot of things, and we were just talking about he's had a down year, gave up 33 total pressures last year. Can't have Justin Fields. There was a clip that I put up earlier on Twitter where Justin Fields is getting buried by the defensive lineman. Cody Whitehair just straight up misses with his hands. Can't have that. Still, Fields was able to complete the throw. It was week 14 against Green Bay. So those mistakes, try to limit them as best as possible. He's never going to be the best at handling guys that just use pure force and strength to kind of get through him. That's where Cody Whitehair, I think, has struggled at times throughout his career. But in terms of what this scheme's going to require out of him, I think you see a bounce back from Cody Whitehair and what we kind of saw earlier on in his career before all the shuffling every single year. He's moving different spots. And if he can play that left guard back-to-back years, I think that also does provide some help for what he's capable of doing in 2022.
And, let me tell you this. One thing about Cody is you're not going to hear him complain like ever. I mean, he is the definition of a pro's pro, and that cliche really does apply to him. But I don't think it's a secret anymore that the Juan Castillo couple years did not really go well. I'm not going to get into a whole thing like Juan Castillo was a respected O-line coach. He'd been in the league for a long time. But for whatever reason, that just did not click with the players that were here. I heard a little bit of that even going into last season in training camp. And then it just was not a shock to me from that point on, based on what I had heard, that it just wasn't really working. Now, I'm not saying that is, an excuse for Cody Whitehair the last couple of years, but I do find it kind of interesting that you have a coach come in who's teaching different things, and all of a sudden there's a guy who's just been so durable and dependable that has a couple down years, not bad years, but mistakes like you just brought up happening more often than we're used to seeing. Now, could that be age? Maybe, injuries, maybe. But I just feel like this applies to players beyond Cody too. But I think that Chris Morgan, the new offensive line coach, is just going to be refreshing for especially the returning players. I think that and I think we're hearing that a little bit already. I don't want to jump the gun too much. Games have not been played. They're still getting to know each other. But I'm definitely sensing a little bit of an uptick in that specific relationship, which does matter a lot. And by the way, we previewed Washington yesterday. That's where Juan Castillo went. He's not even the offensive line coach there. He's a tight ends coach, which I thought was interesting. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I could see Cody Whitehair bouncing back this year. He is, one of the more popular players on the team. Like I said, dependable. And still, when you have a guy having a down year and he's still grading out as a starter, that's a good thing. One of the players we talked about earlier, Eddie Jackson, ended up lower than that. That's where you start to wonder about the future. Cody Whitehair, to me, is still a guy that should be starting on this line. And I don't know, however, that he should necessarily be your best offensive lineman. Does that make sense?
Yes, I get that. Right now he is, but you don't want that to be the case. I don't know, maybe even halfway through the season or by that bye week. You would like to see, honestly, like Tevin Jenkins, if that's being to be completely like you would want to see that, I think, as a Bears fan. But I completely get what you're saying there. As of right now, though, he's your best offensive lineman. He's your most consistent one, and he's your longest tenured Bear.
All right. Finally, we also have to talk about Equimania St. Brown. He is the player that Will broke down, Will DeWitt, on allchgo.com today. Let me set the stage here for Equimania St. Brown. If there is one player who has a chance to I don't know how do I say this the right way. I guess my expectations are so low that if there's one player that can make me look like an idiot this year, it's probably him. Does that make sense?
Yep, it sure does. Yep. Expectation for Equinemius St. Brown is about as low as you can get, just because nobody has seen him do much of anything offensively in the NFL. With Green Bay, like Will wrote in his piece today that came out, you have to go back to his rookie season. Similar to like Dante Pettis, who we just talked about yesterday. Rookie season, you have to go back to where they actually they made small contributions. And for him, he's a big body guy. There are a couple plays in these mini camps where he runs a slant, catches the ball, and is able to keep the ball away from the defender. It's like, that's where you should be using an Equinemius St. Brown. Use him like that in the red zone as well. But I don't know how many opportunities he gets, and is he capable of capitalizing on them. But in terms of keeping low expectations and maybe looking dumb afterwards, he's a candidate to potentially do that.
Yeah. Man, you just look at that 9 catches on 17 targets. You know, not a lot of targets to begin with, and then he's only catching 9 of them. It's tough. He sure looks the part though. Like you see him out there on the field. You know, I had to like almost keep checking my roster to like because I'm like, wait, who's that giant guy that looks like a number 1 wide receiver? Oh, it's Equimania St. Brown. So I don't hate this strategy of trying to bring in, you know, a handful of guys who have just not quite clicked elsewhere and hoping one of them kind of blows up for you in a good way. I pointed this out before, and I'll say it again. It just rarely happens. So I guess you're taking more swings by bringing in a bunch of them and hoping that maybe just one of them work out. Maybe that's Equimania St. Brown. Maybe that's Dante Pettis. Maybe it's Byron Pringle. Pringle's done a little bit more to this point, but still, I think in some cases we've overrated a little bit of what he did in Kansas City. So we'll see how this goes, but he does have that Luke Getzi connection coming from Green Bay, Equimania St. Brown, and we'll see how it goes.
And he has played special teams too. Like he was a gunner last year for Green Bay, so he can find his way onto this team in other ways other than wide receiver, I guess. But you would like to see, or the Bears, I'm sure, would like to see, hey, can you make a contribution on offense? That's using your size. Can you be just a bigger factor in the game than what you've shown previously?
All right. Oh my God, he's so good. He's so good. Adams,
forgot about this, honestly.
Yeah, it is time to talk about the intervention I need. I need to stop coming home halfway through the White Sox games, pouring a drink, and trying to enjoy the rest of my night watching the rest of the games.
Seems like
I don't know why I keep doing it. Why do I keep doing this to myself?
Because you have a Southside bias. Hey
now. Well
Shout
played.
out to the All CHGO locker.
Perfect example. I will still buy that damn T-shirt.
Yeah.
I will still take my 1-year-old to her first game last week when I know very well they're not going to sweep the Blue Jays.
No.
They're not going to sweep the Blue Jays. They're lucky they won that second game. That was a weird extra inning game that they shouldn't have won, and they won it, and there's no way they were going to win on Wednesday, especially when Tony La Russa just threw out like his garbage day game lineup without Tim Anderson in it.
What a jerk. You last night you get good Giolito again, as opposed to 2018 Giolito, which has been the last month and a half. But I don't, but offense, like what are we doing? The thing,
if you're following me on Twitter last night, my thing was they take a 3-2 lead, and he immediately puts Leori Garcia in for Gavin Sheets. And I'm not denying that that's a good defensive switch, even though, by the way, Leori Garcia isn't as good defensively as he gets made out to be by that coaching staff. especially in the outfield. But it's the 7th inning. Who in their right mind actually thought that game was going to end 3-2? Like, are you even paying attention to your own ball club? There was no possible way that game was going to end 3-2. It's the 7th inning. And from that moment on, I'm like hate watching the team. I'm like, why is this happening? Why did I do this to myself? I just got home from my son's their semifinal game, Vernon Hills Red Sox. Hard fought 2-1 loss to the Vernon Hills Guardians.
Darn Guardians.
Guardians. They have one loss all season, and it was to the Red Sox. So we can hang our hats on that. Played well last night. But we lost. I'm coming off of that.
Okay, so you pour the drink, you start watching the White Sox. Was there a second drink involved after that decision by Tony?
No, Steve, that was this isn't a drinking problem. It's a White Sox problem.
You said intervention. I just figured,
No. That, if anything, that was like, no, I have to end this now. Go to bed now.
Especially then, of course, a West Coast game. I know. Then you're up and you're like, God damn it! I'm up till 12:30 watching this terrible ass team.
And then every time
unwatchable garbage team that's not going anywhere because their manager sucks and is 80 years old and racist and whatever we want to say about him. Hall of Famer baseball person. I'm just gonna keep ranting if you want, but
yeah, no. But this is the point, and like I think it sometimes takes, like, as they say, like rock bottom. But like the fact that it's a West Coast game, and I know that, and I'm gonna stay up even later to watch
rock
a team.
Bottom. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
People's elbow. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I don't. Now we got to Photoshop your face on Rock.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I would happily be Rocky Malvia. Love that man, Dwayne Johnson.
Why do I do this?
Yeah, it's not great. But hey, once again tonight, same time, same channel. We'll be doing a pregame, I believe, at 8:30, if I'm not mistaken. 9 o'clock, 9:10 first pitch. And then, of course, after they blow another game, come back to CHGO and watch Sean and Herb and Vinny just start yelling about how terrible this team is.
and that's part of the problem, too, is once these games end that make me angry, I have to know what Sean and Herb say. So then I stay up even later.
Yeah, I did the same thing last night.
And I'm going to do it again tonight. We got this great charity event at Tao tonight. By the way, you can still get tickets.
Yeah.
The Vaughn McClure and Jeff Dickerson Foundation. We'll be there. If you're there, come say hi. Please do. That I think we may have sold that Justin Fields jersey on this podcast yesterday by accident because I noticed that it has been purchased.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Now, maybe not. Maybe I'm taking too much credit there, but we talked about it on the show, and then I noticed today that it is now gone. So,
hey, that's good.
Which is a good thing. But because it all goes to a charity and a great cause. So this is going on at Tao tonight. But I guarantee when I get home from this tonight, because it is a late game, I will probably do the same damn thing and turn on the game and get mad about some late inning decision and then go to bed angry.
Yeah. You mean like when Jimmy Lambert comes in or something because half the bullpen is not available or some BS.
Hey, Jimmy Lambert made a phenomenal play last night. I think that he should be a defensive replacement.
Ha.
It's gonna reel you back in.
Last night they handled Trout too. That's the problem. Is I think they struck him out 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not happening again.
Oh, that inning that Reynaldo Lopez pitched was the microcosm of his career. I mean, it was leadoff walk, can't hold the lead.
Yeah.
Made Mike Trout look like a little league player. Like just blew fastballs by him. Like he couldn't handle them. It's like, why? Why are you Reynaldo Lopez?
So passionate. I love it.
So pour another drink when you get home and watch the White Sox continue to fail.
Sean and Herb do a phenomenal job.
Yes, the team
check them out.
with World Series preseason prognostication, and them just suck and be worse than the Orioles.
Are they worse than the Bears 2019 season? Like the expectations there? Is this worse?
That's a great question.
Maybe that's something for another day, but I'm just thinking like the high expectations and God, they fell so flat. It's not even close to meeting what was
It's
supposed to
similar.
be.
You know what though? It's similar. Actually, I'm going to give that some more thought. Maybe we bring that conversation back tomorrow. But off the top of my head, it seems very similar because you kind of have that mixture of, young players not reaching expectations, and all of a sudden the coach is just doing weird things, and
Offensively, they can't the Bears can't score. The White Sox can't hit a home run to save their life right now. Like there's a bunch of stuff going on.
The leading home run hitter on the team has 9 home runs, and it is June 28th.
Can't even get
what the hell are we doing? I know the baseball is dead and all that, but 9?
Yeah,
the bats.
You know who has like 21 right now? Perhaps an outfielder that they could have signed before the season.
Kyle Schwarber?
Oh yeah, Schwarbs.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
What a shock.
You've needed a left-handed bat for like literally 6 years.
Oh my God.
And you had a guy playing on the north side that even at the time we talked about possible trade candidate because he's clearly a designated hitter. And he's still doing it, and in the National League, by the way, to his credit.
Well,
I guess now it doesn't matter. Yeah, that doesn't matter now. But you could have taken advantage of it when it was just the American League, and that was too obvious. And Luis Robert, I don't know what he's interested in, but hitting baseballs does not seem like he's something that he's interested in.
And then last night, that play he didn't make, like running into right center, tough play, but Luis Robert gets everything usually, and it bonked off his glove.
He's clearly not right because he just doesn't.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Outlander in the chat who lives in continental Europe. He says, when are we getting some Chicago Fire talk on here? Tomorrow, 12:15 Chicago time, all right? I'll be producing the Chicago Fire weekly podcast. Patrick and Alex got you covered on that.
There you go.
Please take a listen.
We got everything for you here. All right. Well, thanks for sitting through my ranting and
I don't think
here.
we've solved anything. You're going to watch again tonight. It's going to be the same result.
Just thank you to Sean and Herb. Seriously, they are saints. I don't know how I'd be getting through the season without them. I mean that because
and Vinny.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Vinny too. Well, Vinny's doing a phenomenal job covering the team, but it's really Herb's F-bombs that I think bring me a sense of comfort.
Oh, shout out to Herb for his catch last night in the CHGO softball game.
Dark Onyx brought up the softball game in the chat. I saw you reference the fact that, do we want to talk about this? Because I heard it was UGLY ugly.
It was not good. It was
okay. All right, let me ask questions like a reporter because I don't know what happened. What was the final score?
A lot to a little.
What was the final score, Nick?
Say it.
It was 19-4, and we only played 5 innings.
Slaughter rule.
Yes, slaughter rule. But Herb,
how many home runs did Shane Reardon have?
0. Herb had one catch on him, and then forgot who hit the ball, but Herb had a athletic. He was in right center. He came forward to the ball, had the right hand extended, and as he's falling down, you guys, extends his right hand up into the air so he doesn't lose it. Maintains control of the ball. And
this is insane.
We were like, oh man, is Herb gonna be okay? And his shoulders into the ground while his right hand's up in the air with the ball. They were like, both teams are cheering. Like, there you go, Herb, making an athletic ass play in right center. That was a highlight of our day. Because then we got
Why is there no video of it?
I
wasn't there. I couldn't make it.
We need a drone or something.
I was at home.
If only there was some media outlet in this media league that had a YouTube channel where they did live content to live stream something like that. We'd have to find some company who would do that. But actually,
mic up the players.
Oh my God! See, I would eat that.
Oh, I would. Yep, that would be awesome.
Ooh, maybe year 2.
Year 2 when we actually have uniforms and we're gonna be a wrecking.
Adam, I'll say this: you haven't been out there to see one of these games, have you?
No, because we have all our baseball games Monday night. So starting next week, maybe I can make it.
Well, I went out last week as a fan, and ended up having to play because we only had 10 players and Matt Peck tore his quad or something again. I don't know. So next thing you know, I'm pinch hitting. I haven't played softball in literally over 20 years. And, I'm pinch hitting and the ball's floating towards me. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to swing at this thing. I actually hit it in the air. It wasn't good at all. Deep, just past shortstop, whatever, pop out. But hey, I'll say this. In my time watching in the first 5.5 innings, defense needs to be shored up. It's bad.
Oh,
it is terrible.
Oh, White Sox.
You guys are not good.
Those errors, they are still there.
Yeah.
They are still there.
See, maybe I do need to come out because I promise you I'm not going to hit anything more than a single, but I will catch the ball and I will probably still get on first base somewhat regularly.
The problem is it's then like the little league BS where it's you start throwing the ball around the infield like just hold the ball. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Throw it home. No, you're not going to get that person out.
No.
Throw back to second. No, don't do that.
No.
Come on, Moreano. Aren't you the manager with the triangle and all that? Come on.
I don't know why. Why do
Because
I
you have a
gotta do these
mustache. All great coaches in Chicago have mustaches. This is your time.
things? Maybe it's like a flag football team. I would do that.
There it is. I was just
Come on,
about to
Thorny.
say, can we see that one more time? There it is.
Yeah.
There it is,
Great.
Thorny. I need to. You know what I'm going to do tonight?
What are you
Instead
gonna
of turning the White Sox game, I'm going to get
Sit in
home
turn.
and I'm going to watch Super Troopers.
do? Okay.
Now, I'm going to be still up way too late, but I will feel
You
better.
still be in a
about
better
life.
mood at the end of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we need to get out of here. Please follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Nicholas Moreano, at CHGO_sports, at CHGO_Bears. You should also follow Lawrence at Law on the Draw.
Law on the draw.
There it is. Someone says can't wait for Moreano Movember. Maybe that's when I need to try the mustache.
Wait, Movember?
You never heard of Movember?
No.
Mustache November? You never heard that? People grow mustaches in November?
Yeah, to raise
Oh.
money.
Come on.
Usually
these-
for prostate cancer, I
these-
think.
Yeah, these things that you miss, Nick.
Yeah.
Come on.
I only started this mustache thing literally yesterday, so it's all new to me. I'm sorry. Now I'm
Well, you're a
more acquainted
mustache
with
guy
everything.
now, all right? This is
Yeah.
how
You
your
have
life
to
is now.
participate in
from now on.
November.
Got it.
See, I can just say I can't, and then
You can, Adam. You
still
can.
donate some money to the charity and just not have to look hideous for a month. But maybe we need to try it sometime. We're out of here. We're back tomorrow, 1:00. Another team to preview, more players to look at as we get a little bit more and more optimistic about the players that we're examining every day too. See you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you. Please subscribe. Please check out allchgo.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1:00.